Every woman alive today deals with her period. Pads, tampons, cups, products designed to make it manageable. But these products have only existed for around 100 years, which means for the other 2 million years of human existence, women figured something else out. No pharmacy, no product, no instructions, just women, their bodies, and whatever the natural world provided. What they came up with and what different cultures believed about periods is one of the most fascinating untold stories in human history. Let's start with something that most people assume, but science cannot fully confirm. The honest answer about prehistoric women and periods is that we do not have much direct archaeological evidence. Menstruation has been one of the most ignored subjects in archaeological history, because for most of recorded history, it was considered too shameful to document. But what we do have, from archaeology, from anthropology, from oral history, and from the materials available to prehistoric women, tells a genuinely fascinating story. The earliest records suggest that women in the Stone Age used rudimentary pads made from natural materials, moss wrapped in leather or linen, sand used for absorption, soft animal fur, grass bundled together. These were not luxuries. They were practical solutions found in the same natural world that provided food and medicine. Many anthropologists also believe that the most common solution for prehistoric women was simply a free bleeding, bleeding directly into their clothing or onto the ground. In the wild, moving constantly, sleeping on the earth, this was simply part of life. There was no shame attached to it, no hiding, no silence. Now let's go to ancient Egypt, because Egypt gave us the oldest written record of period management ever found. Ancient Egyptian women used softened papyrus, the same plant used to make paper, as an early tampon-like device. Papyrus was soft, absorbent, and widely available along the Nile. It was a completely logical material for the purpose. Egyptian women also used reusable loincloths, strips of cloth worn and washed between uses. Archaeological evidence from the ancient Egyptian site of Deir el-Medina suggests that menstruating women were sometimes given time away from regular duties during their period. Records show women being listed as absent from work with notes that translate roughly to "she is unwell," which historians believe referred to menstruation. Ancient Egyptian culture saw menstrual blood as powerful, connected to fertility and life itself. Now let's talk about ancient Greece, because what Greeks believed about menstruation is one of the most bizarre chapters in medical history. The physician Hippocrates, considered the father of medicine, wrote extensively about menstruation. He believed that menstrual blood was the body purging excess blood, and that if it did not flow properly, a woman would become ill. He was entirely wrong about the biology, but his writings did establish that menstruation was being taken seriously as a medical subject. For managing their periods, Greek women used soft wool lint, or rags shaped around small sticks, to create basic internal devices. They also used cloth rags, washed and reused, tied in place with fabric strips. In ancient Rome, women used similar cloth methods. Reusable rags, which is where the phrase "on the rag" eventually originated. But Roman women who could not afford cloth, and many could not, simply bled into their clothing and continued their daily lives. Now let's talk about ancient Africa, because African women developed some of the most practical solutions in all of ancient history. Women in ancient equatorial Africa used tightly rolled grass, bundled and shaped into absorbent pads worn against the body. They also used grass mats underneath them while sleeping, a simple and effective solution for nighttime flow. In many African cultures, and this is important, menstruation was not hidden or shameful. It was acknowledged as part of community life. In some cultures, menstruating women were given rest, special food, and time away from heavy labor, not as punishment but as respect. Among the Mayans and Aztecs in Central America, menstruating women were held in particularly high regard. Menstrual blood was seen as sacred, connected to the cycles of the earth, the moon, and the fertility of crops. Some ancient cultures spread menstrual blood on the earth during spring planting, believing it would help crops grow. Now let's talk about medieval Europe, because this is where attitudes toward periods changed dramatically, and not for the better. In medieval Europe, Influenced heavily by religious teaching, menstruation became associated with impurity, shame, and even danger. Medieval texts claim menstrual blood could blunt swords, kill plants, rust iron, and cause dogs to go mad. Women were told not to touch food, not to enter churches, and not to have any contact with men during their period. For management, wealthy medieval women used soft cloth rags. Poor women used whatever was available: moss, hay, straw. Many medieval women, according to historian Dr. Sarah Redd, simply bled into their clothing. Free bleeding was far more common than any product use. Now here is something that most people find genuinely surprising. Ancient women probably had far fewer periods than women today. Pregnancy, extended breastfeeding, and lower body fat from an active lifestyle all suppress menstruation naturally. Anthropologists estimate prehistoric women may have had as few as 50 periods in their entire lifetime. The average modern woman has around 450, which means managing periods was a much less frequent challenge for ancient women than it is today. And yet they managed, every time, with whatever the world around them provided. No pharmacy, no product, no industry built around their biology, just knowledge passed from woman to woman across generations, mother to daughter, elder to young. The history of how ancient women managed their periods is largely unwritten, because for most of history, the people writing things down did not consider it worth recording.